So according to an online poll, what percentage of people would allow their pet to be killed in exchange for $1 million? The answer, surprisingly, is 38%.
First, though, would you accept the gift of £1 million tax-free if you knew that someone somewhere in the world, a person you didn't know, would die as a result? Now, this dilemma is at the heart of a new film starring Cameron Diaz called The Box, which opens in cinemas today. It's set in the 1970s when crispy pancakes were everywhere. And Cameron and X-Men star James Marsden, they play a couple struggling for cash when a mysterious package turns up on their doorstep. In it, they find a wooden box with a button protected by a glass dome. If they press the button, they get $1 million, no questions asked. But they're told that someone somewhere in the world will die. They won't know who the person is, but they will know they were responsible for their death. Take a look at this. Now, the couple ultimately face consequences neither of them could ever have expected, but I'm not going to tell you more because I don't want to spoil the film. But, given a similar choice, what would you do? Press the button? For all you know, the person who dies might be an evil tyrant, the kind of person who bullies and humiliates losers over on ITV. Your greed could make the world a better place. Or it could hasten the death of an already terminally ill patient. Or, on the other hand, you could be killing someone just like yourself, someone with kids and a family, maybe, or an innocent child. So, would you do it? Could you live with the guilt, Ray?
No, I couldn't. I mean, I'd like some guarantees as to who the person might be, who the person might be. But if the question's just as general as that and it's black and white, nah, sorry. Don't even have to think about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you, Lowry.
Initially, I said, no, absolutely not. But you know what? You could see yourself saying, no, I wouldn't do that. And then you start thinking, £1 million. And I could see how another person, obviously not me, another person, you could get kind of worn down by it. And if the longer it went on, so I would like to say, I would say absolutely not, but I couldn't be 100% sure, really.
I'll tell you what, one of the things I had a wobble with was this notion of sort of that your actions have an effect on people far, far away. And in my travels, it becomes very obvious that you can see that, for example, the way we live in the West has consequences for people far, far away. Bhopal has been back in the news. The fact that nothing has been done to clear up the mess in 25 years. And that still birth defects and stuff like that. So in actual fact, in our lives, people are suffering the consequences all the time, so why not make £1 million?
Oh. Yeah, but that feeling of being directly responsible and also...
Directly responsible for something you don't see, which is, to my knowledge, is like being not responsible.
Yeah, but in a way it makes it worse because you're constantly wondering in your head...
Only if you think about it.
OK, but what's the point of becoming a millionaire if you can't enjoy it?
Oh, you can enjoy it. Hang on, no, you can enjoy it as long as you don't think about it. It's like people that kill. You think, you know, people that murder. How do you live with yourself? I just imagine I would be haunted like some kind of Dickensian character by the ghost of the person I killed all the time. But some people, quite clearly, can do it.
Well, you have to be able to train yourself to detach yourself from those emotions. That's the thing.
And well, with £1 million, think of the therapy and help you could get.
And you've posed the question as black and white.
You drive up in your Ferrari, say, I'm here for a little bit of guilt processing.
If you knew who the people could be, if it was somebody terminally ill, a mass murderer, it changes it. But if you're putting the question as simply as you will never know,
Tony Blair,
it's hard.
Right? Tony Blair, authorising an illegal invasion of a country in which thousands of people died. And he sleeps every night.
In his job, he's trained himself to say this is for the for the West. It's better for the West. Do you know what I mean? Because of the position he's in.
He didn't do too badly out of his career either, though, does he? He lives in a big house in the centre of London. He earns hundreds and millions of pounds a year now.
Well, but the average person...
So he doesn't need the million. But, you know, there are consequences for our... You know, that's... You know, if you boiled it down to that Tony Blair was famous for starting a war and making millions of pounds by being a very successful Prime Minister, is it that different from taking £1 million?
He gets to go to confession, doesn't he? And that absolves him of his sins. You know all about that. And then he's fine, doesn't he?
Well, that's another way out. I was horrified by the number of people who work on this show who said they'll take the money. OK? Because deep down, I would be lying, but I am with Ray. I couldn't do it.
So all those other people that said they'd take the money, where are they working next week?
They've all been promoted. Let's throw it open to you. Would you take the million? Would you take the million, Kirsty?
I want to say no, but part of me says yeah, because somebody else might get there first and kill me for the $1 million.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
So I'd take it and buy a car.
And buy a car. That's it. Kirsty's world.
We've got Doug on line 1.
Doug, good morning.
Good morning.
Would you take the $1 million?
Absolutely. absolutely. Unlike you and Ray, I didn't even have to think about it when you answered the question.
If you did...
My thoughts, well, of course, yes, of course I would.
If you did...
And
Well, you
then,
say, of course...
as you were explaining a bit further, then I thought, but just to salve what little conscience I've got left, how many people could I save with, say, 50, maybe £100,000 of it? I'd keep the 900, 950, but probably save thousands of lives by donating it to a charity. You see it all the time on the television.
Oh, darling.
So I saved more lives than I killed, so therefore,
Oh, the greater good argument.
No.
Would you save loads of lives with 50 grand donation? I don't think so.
Then I think she wants to play God.
Yeah.
As to who lives and who dies.
Yeah.
So how many lives could I save? Just by one, for the greater good.
And you said...
Especially the greater good of me, I don't know.
Doug, thank you. Let's have another.
We have Tandy on line 2.
Tandy, good morning.
Good morning.
Could you take the money?
No, I wouldn't take the money. I just wouldn't be able to live with myself, really. I just wouldn't really sit well with me. So, no, I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't enjoy the money. I think there's more to life than money, really.
So when you buy, as I bought not so long ago, a wooden toilet seat, and I thought, oh, this wooden toilet seat could have been made from a tree they cut down in the Amazon. And I think, God, dear, as I'm sitting down there on the loo contemplating life, one of the things I contemplated was, have I actually driven a little Amazonian family out of their homes with my lack of care and thought? We're affecting people's lives all the time, Tandy, and we don't give it a thought. We don't get anything for it either, without worry and aggravation.
I know that, but this question's a bit different. I mean, it's horrible, but, I mean, I just wouldn't be able to take £1 million so that someone dies and... No,
about 5 million.
It's awful, really. No, they offered me £1 billion. I just wouldn't take it because
I don't know about that.
Happy.
And they say everyone has their price, and I do wonder. I mean, £1 billion. I think.
Things change a bit, but it's just that direct responsibility, indirect or more direct.
It's indirect. It's direct. It's direct responsibility.
So what you do is you take the money, you pay somebody else to actually press the button. You see, so you're not the one who actually presses the button.
No, you've got to press it to activate the whole thing.
Which is how big business works, because they're not the one that causes the propel. They contract down the line so that somebody else has actually done the terrible thing. You know, that's how you shift responsibility on.
But surely it doesn't matter who presses the button. It's who makes the decision.
Yes. Yeah. Who gets the money?
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Tandy, thank you. Let's have
We
another.
have Peter on line 4.
Peter, good morning.
Good morning.
Money, conscience. Where would you be?
No conscience whatsoever. I would press the button in a second.
Truthfully.
And for a lot less money, if I could pick the victim, no problem. Or victims.
Victims?
Right. Let's see. Would you have any qualms? What if it was just for 50 grand? Still take 50 grand if someone died?
Yep, no problem.
Okay.
If you could pick the victim.
Yes, that's quite dark, isn't it? Very dark. Peter, thank you. Let's have another.
Interesting one next. We've got Joe on line 3.
Joe, good morning. Morning, Joe. This will be Joe that hasn't understood the instruction. Turn your TV off. Joe, turn the telly off as you were asked. We'll lose Joe. Let's go to the audience, Eric.
Well, I think the panel are all lying because I would take the £1 million. Because I get asked in the street, would you give £5 a month to help some little orphan in Uganda? And so I don't. So technically, I'm responsible for the death of loads of orphans in Uganda.
Those are big, those are big jumps in logic.
I'll take the £1 million. Next to me is Emma from Bournemouth. Would you take £1 million?
Definitely not.
Really?
Because you have to think about it if it was the other way around, and if someone said that they would take £1 million if someone in the world died and it was someone in your family or one of your friends, you'd feel completely different.
Well, that's a possibility. It could be someone in your family, although, what is it, 8 billion people in the world or something like that at the moment?
Could be the person next to you.
Could be.
Could be me.
Could be. But I'm fascinated by it is the people that are saying they wouldn't take the money because they're very aware of the consequences of their actions. But if you think about all the consequences of all the actions we do the rest of the time, we don't think about them all the time. You couldn't possibly think about them all the time. You'd go mad. And so I think it's kind of selective. If I'm not going to think about the consequences to the developing world of my lifestyle today, why should I care about the consequences if I took the money?
But you should think about the consequences
Right. But
in
should
everyday life.
and do are different things, don't they? Definitely.
But still, I'm being moral and ethical and saying that you should think about the consequences, and I wouldn't take the money.
But we don't think about all the consequences of actions all the other times.
No, but you can try to.
Do we? Do you?
Oh, yeah, I try to.
Are you training to be a journalist?
Yes.
They will soon knock that out of you, I can promise you. And you won't care at all about people.
No, I beg to differ. I'm going to be the first moral
The world's
journalist.
first moral journalist. Yeah, a round of applause for that. We've got other journalists here. Let's move around, Eric. What about the chap over there? Yeah.
OK, what do you think?
Would
you take the money?
I'd have to agree with Doug. I'd have to go with this sort of take one life, but maybe donate quite a bit of the money to try and save quite a few to sort of compensate for it. I'd take the easy way out, you know.
Yeah, they're trying to assuage your guilt with a little bit of do-gooding. Doesn't wash with me.